committed to this descent to follow a rider who, is capable of just railing those corners.
You see as well, really tight one there with the traffic island coming out of it. Just the one we went through a moment ago. This is the 4th time, the final time, that all of these riders will have seen this. It's been a circuit race all day. 4 laps of around 40 kilometres. 3 leaders back together then. Just over 10 kilometres to the conclusion of stage 1. And we're now on that flatter part that Magnus was alluding to. And then now heading into our final climb. This is what the bunch looks like, or what's left of it. DSM, very, very committed. Thinking perhaps of Søren Kragh?
Yeah, I would have thought so. And it's always a difficult position to be in this when you got a rider up in a breakaway. They only got a handful of seconds, and you're trying to keep your rider, at the front. But at the same time, you're thinking, I shouldn't chase my teammate down. But at this position, you kind of have to do that.
Of course, they also have Timon Aardesman in here. This is Andreas Leknesson. In fact, Timon Aardesman's been distanced here. Number 72. We know he suits the long climbs. He likes the longer climbs. There's also end of first Giro d'Italia after a couple of welters that he'd ridden. And then going back to racing straight after a Grand Tour will be something that he hasn't done before, given that it's been welter for the first couple of his years in his career.
Yeah, and you've got a very long recovery period usually after the Vuelta.
Holiday time.
Exactly. Next race, January.
You can go straight to Benidorm at the end.
Yeah.
So, 4 kilometres or so to the start of the climb. Pidcock, Thomas, with Yates and Martinez behind. Thomas taking up the reins at the front suggests that for Ineos Grenadiers, it's Pidcock they're thinking of alongside Yates and Martinez. The latter two probably for the overall.
That is interesting that they're using up Geraint Thomas at this point. An indication that he's not here to ride GC.
That was the question looking down at the start there straight away. I mean, Yates has been given the number 1. And of course, they have that honour because it was they who won it with Carapaz last year. Thomas given number 7. But I've had a funny feeling about Dani Martinez all year. I think he's going fantastically well, and he might be one of the men to watch at the Tour de France. Heading up to the start of the climb. And only a few seconds before those in the peloton do the same. Leaving the shores of Lake Zurich. No time for a dip just yet. There'll be somebody who will have the luxury of taking a swim in the yellow jersey in just a few minutes' time. 8 kilometres to go. And it's really being strung out here now. Not yet onto the categorised section of the climb, which we remind you is just under 3 kilometres long at 7.5%. It looks as though Hager's going to be caught now. And here come Quick Step Alpha Vinyl. We said they had a real good team for the GC, but one of their GC men has a real good fast finish on him, and that's Remco Evenepoel.
Just on his way up there along the side here as well to join his team as at the front.
We've had Tim de Klerk working all day now. Vervaeke doing the job. Just in behind him is Geraint Thomas. A couple of riders from EF Education, Easy Post. Not too many Jumbo Vismas we've seen today, but they're starting to move up as well. Interesting riders for this race in the shape of Rowan Dennis, Sam Oomen and Sepp Kuss. And he's going again. Brilliant stuff from Simon Witschen. Might never have had a pro contract, but tell you what, on today's evidence, there'll be a few agents picking up the phone.
I think so.
Oh, played that man. Casper Pedersen's going to be the next to be caught, and Witschen will be left all on his own. Masnada moves up alongside Evenepoel. Vichem's still there, honouring that flag on his chest, the flag of the Swiss national team. Big ride this. One by one, they're spat out the back, however. Keep your eyes on the Bike Exchange jerseys. Has Michael Matthews survived?
I would have thought he'd be here still. It hasn't been hard enough to get rid of Matthews. Question is though, can he follow up this climb?
So Witschel's there, 6.5 Ks to go, and he's going to be there for a couple of pedal strokes more before he too will be caught. And with 6.5 kilometres to the finish line, today's breakaway has been brought back, and it's going to be down to the favourites at the Tour de Suisse. Kisper Askren moving up. Louis Vervaeke's job is done. It's Masnada who looks around at Geraint Thomas before sitting in front of him, and now we get an attack at Nielsen Paulus. Or is that him just setting the pace here, Maggie? What's he doing?
Well, it looks like it's a little bit of an attack, but not a fully committed attack. But then again, it's such a long, steep climb this, that if you go too hard too early, you risk kind of blowing up halfway up the climb. So you're having to make a somewhat more steady type of progressive attack. But looking around here, I think he might even be setting the pace. Maybe Uran has asked for a little bit of bit more pace on this climb.
Faster riders hoping to survive. They're going to have a big task, and that task, well, Jose Herrada going backwards. Who else is not joining them? Because one by one they're being shelled. 35 there is Edoardo Zambanini, and this now is Alessandro Covi. On form the other day in the warm-up to this race, the one-day event. Remember, stage winner on stage 20 of the Giro d'Italia, and the UAE Emirates rider has a gap.
Yeah, but there's responses straight away though, and responses where they're towing the bunch back to whoever's trying. So I think we're not too far off the real steep section here now, and that's where, if you want to go alone or create a very, very select group, that's where you're going to have to make your move. So up until this point, it's just about keeping the legs, not doing too much before you go for that big attack.
Alberto Bettiol has been dropped. Gianluca Brambilla is out the back, as is Anton Palzer. And there, of course, is the Swiss national champion who rides for Alpecin Fenix, Sylvain Dilliot. 144 also in that group is Nelson Oliveira, the Portuguese time trialist. Gilbert again. He watches on. In fact, no, this is Matthew Holmes.
Yeah.
He's being followed by Stefan Küng. Pozzo Vivo up there, fourth wheel.
It looks like she'd just making the closing that gap down.
Matthew Holmes, the British rider from Lotto Soudal, moving up and having a go at the same point on the climb where last time his teammate Philippe Gilbert went. This is indeed, here she is, Magnus mentioned, third wheel there, just closing the gap now to Stefan Küng in the white, blue and red. And Stefan Küng himself is going to have a move. Been climbing better than ever this year.
It's amazing how well he's going uphill. He's not a small man.
Behind, you're left down to a bunch of favourites, really. Moscon is still there for Astana.
Jakob Fuglsang there as well for Israel Premier Tech, looking very composed.
And Gino Meder's out the back. Ooh. Oh no! Gino Meder, who was going for GC here for Bahrain, out the back already. Suffering on day one on home roads.
As was Hugh Carthy there, I think.
Carthy coming up the Giros. Paulus, Carthy's teammate, is back at the front again. In time, the stars follow behind. Paulus had such a good
here we go,
World
Remco
Championships, and Remco Evenepoel on a move. Now everybody else has to wake up because Evenepoel is straight onto the wheel of Küng, and Fuglsang is on his wheel. Sepp Kuss makes a move. Fuglsang now goes himself. Jakob Fuglsang on the left-hand side as we look at it. Looks around, checks his gap. Evenepoel thinks about winding it up and then goes in search. Pozzovivo's there behind as well. Kuss is here, and this is turning into GC day on opening day, Magnus.
Yeah, it does. And Remco's going to carry on through here now. He's decided that the gap was big enough to maybe commit to this. Yates is having to respond.
So here goes Remco Evenepoel at his first Tour de Suisse. Alongside him is Jakob Fuglsang, who finished on the podium of the general classification last year. Adam Yates has tried to come across and make sure he's right up there, because as well as today's stage win, there's the general classification to think about as the week goes by, because at the front on the attack are two contenders for the overall victory.
Look at the damage.
Shaking his back behind.
Look at the damage that's been done to this group behind there, though.
And Thibaut Pinot is dropped. Thibaut Pinot is dropped, as is Dani Martinez. Some big casualties today. Huge casualties on the opening day of the Tour de Suisse. Alexander Vlasov is following well in third wheel. Pozzovivo's up there too, and Max Schachmann. Good position for Bora again, with two of their favourites in this front group. Yeah,
Geraint Thomas coming across here now with King on his wheel.
So Remco Evenepoel, Adam Yates, Alexander Vlasov, Sepp Kuss, Max Schachmann, Domenico Pozzovivo and Jakob Fuglsang. And then Kung, yes, Kung there again, coming across with Geraint Thomas. 4.5 kilometres to go. And at the top of the classified part of this climb now. Almost. There we go, 4Ks to go.
I think that was Van Wilder as well for Quickstep Alpha Vinyl coming across there. But look at the gaps opening up.
So we've seen Maida dropped, we've seen Thibaut Pinot dropped, we've seen Dani Martinez dropped. This now is Clément Berthet at the back, number 56 there. Another rider from Bora Hansgrohe who've had a good start to this race. That's Felix Grossschartner. And Sebastian Reichenbach, rider from Switzerland, racing for Groupama in that chasing group as well. Noticing that Thibaut Pinot has been dropped. It's Vlasov now at the front. Good group this. Here's Sheehan towards the back of it. 27, here's Gianni Moscon chasing on. Under 153, Kisper Askren, the former winner of the Ronde van Vlaanderen. A look behind there from the rider from EF Education Easy Post, and that's Nilsen Paulus in the pink. And already an early shake-up today. Great racing as we head into the final 3.5 kilometres. That first group has grown and swelled a little bit.
I would like to go back to the front group. Get back to the front group now, because we want to see what's happening.
It's Yates on the right-hand side, and Fuglsang's going to go again with Hirschi going after him. Sergio Guita's up there. Bora having a great start to this race with their numbers at the top. Ineos Grenadiers have got Geraint Thomas back in there. Remco Evenepoel is having to do his best to follow behind, but it's Fuglsang who's going away with his shoes on his wheel now. 3Ks to go.
Tell you what, Fuglsang is looking powerful when he's out of the saddle on that bike.
This is where it winds up, still falls flat uphill now. Chasing group at the bottom who we're just looking at.
This is where there's a moment for anyone who wants to sort of attack here.
And there it is. Well spotted, Magnus, because Stefan Kung thinks about it. It's a half move.
Every time the group stops, though, that's where you can come from behind with a good amount of speed and just carry through. And it's only a couple of times that you're able to respond straight away to that. Then you start looking around for other ones to take it, and that's when the rider goes up the road and disappears.
Just one observation from that front group: there is no Rigoberto Urán.
Ah.
And he's not in that second group either.
No, he's not.
And Dani Martinez, the other big shock, really. With Geraint Thomas looking good. And here is the man Van Wilder. Was due to make his Grand Tour debut, or his Giro d'Italia debut. I've already seen him at the Vuelta. Coming to 2 kilometres to go.
I think this is now lead out for Remco Evenepoel for the sprint. Who's it got so fast in here?
Well, that's the question, really. The chasers still having a work. Second group on the road with Kasper Asgreen surviving better than some of the GC contenders. It's been
Yeah.
a real shake-up. And there's the attack. This should be Vlasov, I think.
Look at the explosive power of Remco Evenepoel. He's really worked hard on that.
Winner of the Tour of Norway the other week. And in pretty impressive style, wasn't he, as Vlasov goes away. I think the wheel's going to be closed now by Stefan Küng. He's put in a mightily strong performance just to be up here today.
Yeah, Thomas is having to do the work there now.
Thomas is enough gap. Close down.
Decent enough gap.
Well, Vlasov and Evenepoel might be thinking of working together here. And that's Andreas Kron, who's in there for Lotto Soudal, young Dane. Vlasov in the green, Evenepoel in the blue and white. And Geraint Thomas trying to close the gap from behind.
Yeah, he hasn't got the legs to do it.
1 kilometre to go now. Not many people do have the legs when up against Remco Evenepoel, as Jakob Fuglsang now takes it up too. Second group on the row behind, approaching that 1 kilometre to go now. And still Evenepoel, still Vlasov, Fuglsang, Yates, Kron. And then Schachmann is there as well. Of course, he's not going to chase his teammate down, but it looks as though Vlasov and Evenepoel are going to be caught with 500 metres to go. And now Van Wilder's going to move to the front. Does Evenepoel have anything left? Keep your eyes on Higuita moving up on the left-hand side as well. Fast finish, remember, as we go uphill. 300 metres to go. This is a funny sprint at the end of the opening day at the Tour de Suisse. It's, of course, the GC favourites, and they're really having a go here going to the line. Really having a go going to the line. 4 and a quarter hours of racing, and it's the very best rising to the top. But look on the right-hand side, because Schachmann's coming around. Kron's through the centre. Schachmann's there, but it's on the left-hand side. It's been taken by the rider from Bahrain, Victorious. The gap back to the next group is going to be around 20 seconds or so. Kasper Asgreen brings them across.
I think that must have been Johan Price Peterson.
And Bahrain Victorious have won the stage. We wait to get confirmation of exactly who, but you're talking about the young Dane, Johan Price Peterson, who I know they're very excited about. But he came from right in the middle of that group there, just as when it looked like Schachmann was going to take it. That's a brilliant, brilliant effort as we look back to see the Martinez group coming in.
Yeah, I'm just going by the fact that he's the only rider from Bahrain Victorious tall enough to, to be that one.
Well, we will get a good check and get a replay in a moment. There's Larry Warbass and Thomas Pidcock in the group at just over a minute. But what a finish at the end of the stage.
I've got to say, I think Remco made a little bit of a mistake there, not jumping on Van Wilder's wheel when he came past. He should have gone on there. He would have had a good toe towards the line and been able to step off it. Obviously, he's just been away, so his legs would probably been screaming at the time, even though it is Remco Evenepoel. Yeah.
Here's the Hugh Carthy group, Anton Palzer with him. And what a victory for Bahrain Victorious and Stephen Williams.
Was he Stevie?
Wow, he's been threatening for a long time. He was part of that group, hiding away beautifully. Just on the right-hand side here, Magnus in the red jersey. He follows Andreas Kron. Around the outside there, Stevie Williams hitting the front and winning, timing that to perfection. The 26-year-old from Aberystwyth picks up a World Tour victory for the first time in his career.
And he's had such a tough start to his professional career with a knee injury that was, he was struggling with it for a long time, and he's...
And look at Look at the face there of Mark Hirschi. Absolutely wonderful stuff from Stevie Williams. Followed the very best. And look at what it means to him.
Yeah.
Stephen Williams takes stage 1 of the Tour de Suisse ahead of Max Schachmann, Andreas Kron and Mark Hirschi, with Lutsenko in 5th